Hey everyone, it's Jen with Spirited Saturdays. And okay, last week I made a video about identity and sexual orientation, sexual preference. And the whole time I was making that video, I was thinking that this was our topic for the next 4 weeks, only this was like the theme, and then we would explore different parts of it. But I just read it again and I realized that the topic is actually identity, not sexuality. So everything I said last week on sexuality is probably, for the most part, pretty much what I'm going to say. I'm probably not going to add too much to that, because the theme of the 4 weeks, the 4-week rotation is identity and exploring different parts of identity. So last week we explored identity and sexuality, and this week we're exploring identity and emotional abuse. And, you know, to be honest, I'm having a little trouble making this video. I had a hard time getting set up for it, and it's not usually the case. Usually I just get right on and either I make some notes for myself or I just kind of wing it because it's something that I'm feeling strongly about. But this week, today, just now, I've been having all this trouble getting ready for the video, and I wasn't wearing any makeup, and I was like, I really need eyeliner for this video. It was kind of ridiculous. I don't usually get that obsessed about what I look like in these videos. And so I was doing this, and I was going back and forth and adjusting everything 5 times and 15 times. And in my head I'm thinking, wow, this would not be a very good example for what we're really trying to do here. And I had to ask myself, what's going on? Because maybe that would be useful for me to figure out what's going on. So I guess I just realized that the reason I was getting a little nutso about all that was because this video is a little hard for me to make, and I guess that's what I do sometimes, is I just fixate on something else to avoid thinking about what's there to think about, or to avoid maybe feeling something that is uncomfortable. So let me just start by, I wanted to tell you that it occurred to me that I really ought to tell you that, and it's good that I did. So, I mean, it's good because I feel like a lot of people do it, and especially people with eating disorders, we, just characteristically, in our disorders anyway, we really do use food and use behaviors and thoughts and repeated rituals to avoid thinking about what's really going on. So let this be an example, not so much an eating disordered example, but just an example of how that personality trait can still be there well into recovery, and it's always something to challenge. So again, I'm going on and on avoiding talking about this, and it's just so crazy. I don't have any idea what I'm gonna say. I started plotting out some things, and it just didn't feel genuine. So I guess I don't know, emotional abuse is just one of those things that it's I was talking to somebody today, and he was telling me that he was bullied when he was a kid, and I said I was bullied too, and he, being a guy and me being a girl, had different experiences with it, but only because well, I think he was more bullied by guys, and I was a mixture. But the thing is, I think that girls, I don't know if this is true across the board, but at least this is what I've heard, from, being a kid to being in a sorority and pledging, girls get more of the psychological stuff, and guys get more of the physical stuff. Tell me if I'm wrong, or if that's a really bad, broad overgeneralization. But I think guys are, what he was telling me was that he was bullied and he never backed down. He just, and I think I did the opposite, where I was bullied, but in an emotional kind of a way, name calling and like really intense stuff though, and like really intense like like intimidation, that I was so easily threatened by it that I didn't really, I didn't really feel like I had any power. So I did the opposite of what he did, and I didn't even try. I just tried to get away from the people who were doing it. And if I couldn't, I was just really scared, and I never like really stopped being scared of them, and I never did that much to defend myself. Like, but the thing is that I didn't really know how to defend myself, and I didn't feel like I had the skills to stand up for myself. So from a very young age, I had no idea how to assert myself, and I learned to do the opposite, to just kind of feel weak and meek and kind of cower. I don't know. So that's like one experience that I've had with emotional abuse, and that's one example of emotional abuse, is being bullied by your peers. But there's so many examples of emotional abuse, some of which I've experienced, and it's just, and it goes on in schools, like with teachers, it goes on with authority figures, it goes on with families, with parents, and any family member. It can go on with siblings. It can go on with younger siblings. It could go on with younger friends. It doesn't have to be an equal or an older person. It's just about power. So if there's somebody that is making you feel less in control, or making you feel like they're more powerful, or presenting themselves as though they have some power over you, it doesn't matter if there's an age difference. It doesn't matter if they're younger than you are. I think there's a real danger to it when somebody is older and you really believe that that person is right because they're older, and you've been taught to believe what they say and respect them and just acknowledge their authority, which isn't always the case. But if that's what we're taught, then that's almost like our default. And if we do anything opposite of that, it's almost like there's a reason for that, either within ourselves or something else is going on. So I guess there's so many different ways that kids can be taken advantage of and told that they're wrong or that they're not good enough, and they're in just lots of different environments, in the home, in the school, in sports and arts where it's competitive, and any kind of club or anything, like when you're a kid. I mean, any kind of community, it can happen. And as long as there are other people around who can be intimidating to you, then it can happen. So, kids are just set up to be adaptable and take in what people are saying to them. And even if they hate it, and even if they know it's not true, which sometimes is the case, sometimes you have a sense that it's wrong, and you have a sense that it's not true. But even then, it's very hard as a kid not to internalize it and take it on and really incorporate it with who you feel you are, and building yourself as you grow. It's very hard. You could say, this is wrong, this person shouldn't have said that, it makes me feel bad. That's if you know that it's wrong. Sometimes you don't know what's wrong. You just take it as a matter of fact because you don't know otherwise. You just take what they're saying as fact. But, I've known a lot of people whose parents have said things to them like, I wish you were never born, you're, just various names. And it's very... it's almost like if a kid grows up hearing that, they can kind of become desensitized to it and not think that it affects them, and not, think that they're internalizing it. But they really are internalizing it. And, the very fact that they can be so indifferent to it after a while and kind of brush it off, that's just worse, because it's like so automatically integrated into who they are, or into how they see themselves, that it's dangerous to not think, otherwise, or not challenge it. And even if you think, oh, and this isn't true, I think if you hear it at a young enough age and you hear it enough times, even if you know logically it's not true, I think that there's always that capacity to internalize it, and just almost like you're forming your I don't know how to really say it, but like your cell formations, you're like forming with it. You're like DNA, whatever. Like your wiring is forming with that thing that was said to you. So it's just like building on that, and you don't realize it consciously. I think as you get older and you realize the things that were said to you in whatever situation, and you can see it in a broader context, and you can really understand that it was wrong. And I think that once you develop a willingness to challenge it, you can. I think as soon as you develop that willingness and you wake up a little and you realize that, maybe there's the possibility that you aren't what people have said that you are, and you don't deserve to have your worth based on that, and and that this was clearly an unhealthy, toxic situation that you were subjected to. You have the opportunity to take your power back. Like, sometimes I get a gut reaction when I see the adults who were once kids who bullied me. I do get a little bit of like this gut reaction, this like almost like this fear or this anger or combination, and it's as though I'm right back there. And even though now I'm 30 years old and I know so much better, there's a huge part of me that's still linked to that and can not separate from it sometimes. So so it touches you deeply, even if you know rationally it's wrong and you're not that. And so I really think that the healthy thing to do is, if you were emotionally abused or you are being emotionally abused, is acknowledge that you have the power to take this back, and that it doesn't form your identity. And once in treatment, I wrote a letter. We had to write letters to people who made us angry or who hurt us. And once I wrote a letter to this kid who hurt me, and I got so angry, and it felt really, really good. It was the first time I'd ever done that, and it didn't just magically make things go away, but it really lifted something, and I felt extremely empowered in that moment. Honestly, it's like there's something to be said for compassion, for yourself and for the people who have hurt you, because it doesn't mean that if you have compassion for a person, it doesn't mean that you're condoning what they've done and that you like them and that you are excusing them in any way. It just means that you're saying that if they felt so out of control and so powerless that they felt like they needed to feel better about themselves in order to put another person down, or if they felt so trapped maybe by their anger that they felt that they had no other choice in that moment but to take it out on you and say extremely hurtful things to you instead of managing that anger in a healthy way, this person, even if on the surface they look put together, no healthy person feels the need to resort to that, especially on a regular basis. People lose control sometimes and get angry, but nobody who knows how to deal with life or knows how to be truly content and happy needs to do that. And so I think that having compassion for that piece of them that is so torn and so unhealthy that they needed to take it out on somebody who they deemed less powerful, I think, it's like, wow, that's too bad for them. And it's too bad that I had to be the one that they took it out on, but this is about them and not me. Their issue, what they did is about them and not me. And I have every right to take that power back that I feel that that was taken from me. You know, it's very difficult when you hear things, when you see things, or you hear things, or you overhear things, or you know, that are seemingly really against you and really belittling of you and really nasty and just mean-spirited, very mean-spirited. But you know, as you grow, you need to understand that there are so many different pieces to this, and that there are ways to take it back and to honor who you really are without that, because you aren't that. That's not what comprises who you are. That's just something that sort of crept into your development and made you feel like it was a part of you, but it's not, and you're better than that, and you are more than that. So anyway, just remember that, and be well. And what else? And it's getting to be 17 minutes. Oh my goodness. And this is going to take forever to upload. And I don't know what else to say. Be strong. I don't know what else to say, so I'm just going to end here. But I hope this helped a little. I hope it helped. I do. And take care of yourselves. Okay, and one day soon I'm going to do a cover of Lady Gaga's Born This Way, because I wanted to do it in honor of the sexuality videos, but that's not what we're doing, so I'll have to figure out a way to weave it in, maybe in a week or two. Okay, bye!